The man I loved wasn't who I thought he was. My name is Isabel. I've always believed in fairy tales, in love that conquers all, and in happy endings. I was raised by a single mom who worked 2 jobs just to keep food on the table. Watching her struggle made me vow that I'd never settle for less than I deserved. That's why, when I met Ethan, I thought my prayers had been answered. Ethan was tall, charismatic, and charming in a way that made everyone in the room pay attention when he walked in. I was 24, fresh out of university, working my first real job as a marketing assistant. He was 31, a successful entrepreneur who had just sold his second startup for millions. We met at a tech networking event. He was the guest speaker. I was just trying to get free snacks. But he noticed me. We talked that night for hours. He asked questions that made me feel seen. He laughed at my jokes. He told me I was refreshing, not like the other women he usually met. A week later, he sent flowers to my office with a handwritten note, "Let's write our own success story." From there, everything moved fast. Dinners at rooftop restaurants, weekend getaways, spontaneous gifts. He bought me a bracelet that cost more than my rent just because I said I liked the color. I thought I was living in a dream. My friends were in awe, my mom was cautious, but I ignored the tiny red flags. Like how he always kept his phone face down. Or how he never talked about his past relationships. Or how he would disappear for hours with vague excuses about business meetings. But I was in love. And love makes you blind. Or maybe I just didn't want to see. After 6 months, he asked me to move in with him. His penthouse in the city had views of the skyline that made me feel like I was floating. He gave me a credit card and told me, "I want you to have whatever makes you happy." But slowly, things began to change. He became distant. Cold, even. His sweet gestures turned into short texts. His smile faded into constant frustration. When I asked if something was wrong, he said I was being too sensitive. I started to doubt myself. Maybe I was overthinking. Maybe work was just stressing him out. But everything shattered on a rainy Wednesday afternoon. I was home alone that day. Ethan said he had an urgent investor meeting and would be gone until late. I decided to surprise him. I baked his favorite chocolate lava cake and even put on the red dress he loved. I wanted to remind him of the woman he fell in love with. As I was setting the table, I heard his phone buzz. He had left it on the kitchen counter, a rare mistake. I never went through his phone before, but something inside me, something heavy and cold, told me to pick it up. One message stood out on the lock screen. "What are you telling her?" "I'm tired of being your secret." I froze. My heart pounded so hard I could barely breathe. My fingers shook as I unlocked his phone. No password change. And then I saw it. A thread of messages with someone named Lena. Photos. Hotel bookings. Voice notes. Sweet nothings I thought were only for me. Lena wasn't just someone. She was his ex. The one he said he left years ago. The one who broke his heart. Only, she never really left. They had been seeing each other the entire time. Some messages dated back to before we even met. I stood there, lava cake still warm on the table, the red dress suddenly feeling like a costume for a play I never agreed to be in. My world cracked open. I stood in the kitchen, the phone still glowing in my hand, casting a pale light on the lies I had been living in. I scrolled further. There were messages from last week where he told her. Athena suspects nothing. She still thinks I'm head over heels. This will all be worth it soon. Worth it? Was I a game? An investment? A placeholder while he rekindled his past? I felt my knees weaken, but I refused to let myself fall. Not here. Not now. I put the phone down carefully, as if it were fragile. As if I weren't the one who had just shattered. The cake sat on the table like a joke. I threw it in the trash without a second thought. Then I packed a bag. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I left my wedding ring on the kitchen counter, next to the phone that had betrayed me more than words ever could. But I didn't just walk out of that house. I walked out of his life. The next morning, I sent him one final message. Don't bother explaining. The only thing you're good at is pretending. I didn't block him. I wanted him to see what life looked like without me. And as the days turned into weeks, I rose, not as a broken wife, but as the woman he thought he could destroy. Now he watches from the sidelines. And Lena? Well, she got what she wanted. A man who knows how to lie with a straight face. Athena sat on the balcony of her new apartment overlooking the skyline of Madrid, sipping coffee as the morning sun painted golden strokes across the buildings. It had been exactly 1 year since she walked away from James, 1 year since her world fell apart, only to rebuild itself stronger, brick by brick. After the betrayal, Athena didn't spiral. She invested in herself. She traveled, something James always said was a waste of money. She went to Florence, learned how to make fresh pasta by hand. In Tokyo, she practiced quiet mornings with tea and found peace she hadn't known in years. She took a solo trip to Iceland, stood under the northern lights, and cried, not from sadness, but because for the first time, she felt truly free. She took therapy seriously, journaled her pain, started a blog, and shared her journey. Strangers reached out, thanking her for her vulnerability, her courage. She realized her story wasn't just hers, it was a mirror for thousands of people silently suffering in one-sided relationships. Professionally, she launched a boutique marketing agency. It was something she dreamed of, but James never supported. Within 6 months, she landed her first big client. Within a year, she had a team. The girl who once asked for permission now gave orders, respectfully, and with a smile. And then came love, not in the form she expected. Not a new man. But a deeper love for herself. The kind of love that didn't need validation. She laughed louder, danced in her kitchen, wore the dresses James once said were too much. When James reached out months later, saying he missed her, Athena didn't respond. Not because she was angry, but because she had nothing to say. She had outgrown the chapter he was still stuck in. The story didn't end when James cheated. That was just the plot twist. The real story was Athena's rise, her rebirth. And as she looked out over the city that now felt like hers, she whispered to herself, I am not what happened to me. I am what I choose to become.